Today we're at one of my favourite Neolithic sites in Derbyshire. It's a monument, it's a henge. So there's a ditch around, and you stand. This is what it looks like on the ground. From the ground, it's rather unimpressive. A series of stones laid down in a circle. It's fairly big. There's a handful of people walking around, but you don't really see anything impressive. From the ground, the small mound nearby is almost more impressive. There's a beautiful view. You can see why. I think I've talked about landscape before with the Neolithic. You look at a beautiful site, remove the cars and the roads and the houses. This must have been a stunning windy spot back 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. But it's when you go up in the air that you really see not just that there's a henge, there's a depressed ditch and mound, but you see this stunning view. There's 41 stones in all, and from the sky you can actually see markings left in the ground. You could see the paths, the entrance and exit. You could see the compass points to the henge, the central stones, and just a really stunning, serene spot. I love Arbor because when you stand inside the henge, just low enough that you can't see the farmhouses in the distance, the wind blows through your hair and it feels almost like you're back in time at that spot. There's very few places where modernity doesn't force its way into the view. But you see these stones, they've all fallen over or been pulled over. And they're not from far away, they're from just a few miles away. Today it's hard to tell what it actually looked like. Some historians have claimed that the stones never stood at all, and looking at them, they're rather oddly shaped. They're not even, they don't look like they've been dressed to be placed, and perhaps they were just laid down. The very presence of them had the same effect as them standing. But when you compare it to other henges, it really feels a little different. Perhaps they were always laid down. But it feels like a spiritual place. Some henges have that feeling that you feel you can connect with the people that build them. You can wonder at what their purpose was in building these henges. And this one is very special. I don't know if you can see those little like snake marks on the side. I found very interesting. And there's one over there. It's almost like a cross of Lorraine, a stick with 2 or 3 crosses through it. But it's a very striking monument. And it really is best seen from the air. You see these people walking around it. They're looking, they're enjoying it. But it's when you go up high and you look down that you see just how impressive this henge is. And how beautiful the contrast of the white stone, of limestone against the grass. It's visited, but not as frequently as many monuments, because I think you have to be in the air to appreciate it. And it really is stunning from up here. And I like to think from up here that the stones did stand and were pulled down. But standing next to it today is what's described as a burial mound. But I'm not quite so convinced by that. Unfortunately, I didn't get enough footage of that when I came here. But the mound, it doesn't quite look like a burial mound. It's too narrow compared to its height compared with most burial mounds. And although they did find cremated remains in there, it reminds me in its shape very much of Silbury Hill. It's not as impressive, it's not as stunning, and we'll be going there soon. It's one of my favourite places in Britain. But this mound feels more like a ceremonial mound to me, associated with the henge, linking the connection with sky and the sunrise and sunset of a henge with an ascending towards the sky. Although there's nothing like this at Stonehenge, and it's not like they didn't build a lot at Stonehenge, there is a definite association between the Avebury landscape and Silbury Hill. And although Silbury Hill is on a completely different scale, to me this feels like a smaller community of less significance with a temple rise, if you like, next to one of the most beautiful little henges I've seen. So please do come yourself, check out Arbor, and before you do, make sure you subscribe and follow for more Unbound Histories next week.